Cheap and easy casseroles are on the menu today. Minimal effort, minimal ingredients, maximum satisfaction is what I'm serving up. And throughout this episode, I'll share some tips on how to make things even more inexpensive along the way. Starting with an easy meatball sub casserole. It's a new and fun way to serve up an old classic. So I'm starting with store-bought garlic bread from the freezer section. This is maximum flavor, minimal effort because it's already buttered and flavored for us. You're gonna prepare this according to the package directions. Pop it open, place it on a baking sheet, put it in the oven while we prepare the meatballs. Then we're just gonna heat up some frozen meatballs. If you are like me and you make meatballs from scratch all the time, then you should batch prepare them. Cook a bunch, bake them off, and freeze them. That would even make this even cheaper down the road. The recipe calls for 40 Italian meatballs. I think they're talking about the smaller ones. These are a pretty decent size. So I'm just gonna do one whole bag. You just want 2 jars of your favorite marinara, and then in go the meatballs. Everything really is already cooked. We just need to heat these through. Kind of gives a jump start on the casserole, so when we put it in the oven, it takes hardly any time. Garlic bread done. Now you wanna let it cool and then tear it into bite-sized pieces. And you want it to get that crispiness on the outside because it's gonna absorb that sauce. You don't want it to be too soggy. I don't feel like waiting on it to cool, so I'm just gonna use my knife and kind of chop it up. I mean, you know, you put cubed up bread in a lot of different casseroles. The garlic bread with double the flavor, good idea. All right, so I'm gonna take that garlic bread, put it all in. I love a meatball sub, but I forget about them. I'm gonna put all these crumbs in there. It says to pour the sauce and meatballs right on top of here and then top with cheese. I'm gonna put just a little bit of cheese before I pour it on, just to kind of get it all in there. A little bit of mozzarella and grated parm. Meatballs and sauce are nice and hot, and I'm just gonna pour this directly over. You wanna kind of distribute the meatballs evenly. This is a hearty casserole. This would definitely serve a family with leftovers, 2 families, hungry teenage boys. Really, these are made with pantry staples. You've got things that you can keep in the freezer on hand. So I always buy things like the pasta sauce, even if you get the nice one, when it's at Costco or when it's buy one, get one free. Same with cheeses. They last for a long time in the fridge. So I only buy them when they're buy one, get one free. I do think this is gonna be a great way to eat a meatball sub because when you go to eat them, they not only are they messy, but sometimes that meatball rolls out. This you can eat with a fork. And because everything is pretty warm, it only takes about 20 minutes in the oven, 350 degrees. Ooh, that is heavy. Oh man, this looks good. The way the cheese has formed a crust on top of the meatball, A+100. I mean, that was 2 whole jars of sauce, but you don't see a bunch of sauce bubbling around the edges because it's kind of absorbed into that. I'm gonna garnish with some fresh basil. This looks fancy for only having 5 or 6 ingredients. Fix yourself a little salad in a bag and call that a complete dinner. Super hearty. I mean, I hardly made a dent in it, and this is a huge portion. A flavor explosion in the form of a casserole. You know, you can see how the bread like soaks up that sauce, but it is so flavorful, but the crust on the bottom is still has some texture. So it's not like just an entire bite of sogginess. This is an excellent family-friendly choice. We're off to a great start. Let's save some more time and money. You know, when I do a series of recipes, I always like to include something for the Taco Tuesday, and we are doing a taco casserole. For this, I am doing a turkey taco casserole because that is the best way to save money. The recipe calls for ground beef. I'm gonna use ground turkey. I can even double up the amount of ground turkey and it's still the same price, if not cheaper, than 1 pound of ground beef. Plus, when it's mixed with all the seasonings, like in a taco situation, you can't tell. Nobody's gonna care. I'm gonna add in just a little bit of oil since turkey is leaner than the ground beef. All right, ground turkey. It's browned and crumbled. I'm gonna get some of those juices out. This isn't turkey breast, so it does have a little bit of fat in it. Does everybody drain their ground meat like this? I feel like everybody does now. All right, now we stir in salsa. These are the kind of shortcuts that have multiple ingredients combined into one. We've got our tomatoes, peppers, onions, and a bunch of seasonings. Going in with a can of beans. These are chili beans, so again, they have extra flavor added in, and I'm not draining them because I want that sauce in there. All right, once this simmers for a bit, then we just build our casserole. Adding in a little bit of freshness with some green onions and tomatoes. Need about half a cup of each. Green onions we know are inexpensive, usually less than $1. A couple Roma tomatoes is all you need. Also probably less than $1. And of course you can, customize these ingredients based on your liking. Okay, now we build a greased casserole dish. Into the bottom we put crushed up tortilla chips. Another tip, use store brand when possible. That should be a given, but it's gonna save you money. Now we pour over our meat mixture. Remember, I doubled the meat in here, so this is extra hearty, and it's still cheap and still easy. So this is gonna feed a lot of people. When you think about the per serving cost, cheap. 2 cups of sour cream, spread on top. Sounds like a lot, also sounds delicious. Then go the toppings. It really can be whatever you like on your taco. This recipe calls for black olives and the green onion and tomato that we chopped up. It's giving Mexican pizza from Taco Bell. Then cheddar cheese on top. I almost always shred my own. You get more, it's better, it melts better. This is gonna be good. Really, I'm kind of shocked that I've never made this before. Now this just goes into the oven, 350 for about half an hour. We should make a margarita. If you know how much I love nachos and tacos, then you know how much I'm gonna love this. I also love things like this for a taco bar or instead of a taco bar because the bulk of it's already done and you can just serve it with various toppings. The chips have softened and cooked into that meat mixture, similar to when you get an enchilada and the tortillas are all cooked in with the sauce. Now for the fun part. I'm going on with some more salsa, a little avocado, make it healthy. Some of those green onions we saved from before. I just feel like it's gonna need the crunch. Cheap and definitely easy turkey taco bake. It's one of those things I could eat every day. This is also just a great use of when you have like a half a bag of chips left over and a half a jar of salsa, layer it up and call it a casserole. But if you're looking for something cheap and easy to try out on the next Taco Tuesday, this right here, this is the one. New spin on a classic. We are doing Japanese curry chicken pot pie. It's still cheap and easy, okay? Thanks to a couple conveniences. First, it starts with carrot, potatoes, and onion. All very affordable and of course readily available, and they last a long time in your pantry and fridge. So things that you should just have on hand. These are what I consider staples. This is not a classic chicken pot pie because it's not made in a pie plate, but rather in a casserole dish. And the topping is crescent roll dough from a can. All the ingredients are super familiar with chicken pot pie, with the addition of this. This you can find in most grocery stores on the international aisle, and it's just a few bucks. But no can of cream of chicken in this one. Grab a skillet, go in with a few tablespoons of a neutral oil. Splatter. All right, I'm just gonna cook these until these veggies begin to soften for about 6 to 8 minutes. Even though the recipe does not say to do this, I'm just gonna add in a little salt just to kind of help speed this process along. All right, once they've started to soften, I'm gonna go in with some chicken broth and a little water, but you could just do all chicken broth if you want. I'll bring this to a boil and let it cook for about 5 minutes. Then I'm gonna reduce it and let it cook until those veggies are nice and fork tender. So for the final step, we're gonna take our curry mix. This is what it looks like. Comes in kind of a little block. And we're gonna drop it in, cook it for about 2 minutes, and it's gonna kind of thicken this mixture up. I wish you could smell it. It smells like authentic curry. So good. You can see how it's starting already. It's only like halfway melted in there, but you can see how it's kind of creating this little like thick sauce. I like this little shortcut. Now all we have to do is add it to our casserole dish with our chicken and put our topping on it. It's a good thing to know about. Might need to keep those in your pantry. Look how thick and rich this is. Creamy, tender rotisserie chicken, and you know I only get my rotisserie chicken at Costco because why would you pay $10 when you can pay $5? Spread that out evenly. Oh yeah. All right, then you use crescent roll dough to put on top. If you get the individual crescent rolls, you can just kind of pinch the seams together. You can always find these buy one, get one free also. And they last a while in the fridge, so another good thing to kind of stock up on when you see them. All right, so I'm gonna kind of unroll it over the casserole. And then you just stretch it to the sides till it completely covers. This dish is slightly smaller than a 9 by 13, so I have a little excess, which was intentional, because I'm here for the crust as much as the filling. Then just to kind of help the crust stick to the sides without kind of pulling away, you can use the tines of a fork and just kind of press it against the casserole dish, just to kind of give it that pie look. Also gonna cut a couple little slits in here just to let some of that steam escape. And optional, but recommended because it's cute, some sesame seeds on top. And then again, because all this is still pretty warm, we just want that top to cook. It goes in 350 degrees for just about 20 minutes or so. That's gonna be delicious. That's your something different this week. Pot pie is piping hot. It smells incredible. I can already see why this was a hit in the test kitchens. This ain't your grandma's chicken pot pie. Remember, color equals flavor. Give me all that good gravy. I'm gonna add on a little freshness to kind of brighten it up. Some green onion. I mean, it kind of looks restaurant worthy. Everything is so tender, almost melts in your mouth. A lot of flavor in that little packet. Great shortcut to keep on hand. And next time you're having the craving for something comforting like chicken pot pie, but you want to kick it up, great recipe. It's like when you have chicken pot pie, but you're kind of eating it with a roll, or maybe like a creamy chicken soup, but you're eating it with the roll. That crescent dough kind of acts as like your dipper, you know, that you would dip in the soup. You're gonna want to try this one. I'm bringing comfort and sophistication in this next casserole, French onion mac and cheese. We're keeping it cheap because there's no meat in here. Onions are the star of the show, and you can get a bag of onions for about $3. This one is super easy. It takes a little bit of time because we are gonna caramelize onions, but trust me when I tell you, it's worth it. All right, I'm gonna start out with some butter and oil. That's just how I like to caramelize my onions. And when you caramelize onions, you cook them on a lower temperature for a good bit of time so that you can draw the natural sugars from the onion, and then they start to caramelize in the heat. So you get this kind of like sweet, buttery, melty onion. You're not trying to saute it because it won't develop the same sweetness. But this is really how you can take something super inexpensive and elevate it. I'm just changing up the methods sometimes. I kind of stir it for the first minute or so, and then I just let it go on medium-low. Takes about 40 minutes, but you're just gonna kind of let it do its thing. Be prepping the other stuff, come back, give it a stir, go get a glass of wine, come back, give it another stir. Time flies when you're having fun. Dang, I'm gonna stink when I go to the basketball game after this. About halfway done. Once it gets to this point, it'll start moving a little faster, but you can see, I mean, those onions filled that pan, and now they've cooked down so much. In just a minute, you're gonna see just how far they cooked down to almost nothing. But the flavor is immense. Look at that. Those will melt in your mouth. Now, time to bring it all together. I'm gonna add in some fresh thyme because I'm really trying to up the flavor like French onion soup into this mac and cheese. A little bit of Worcestershire and some dry sherry. And then you're gonna cook this until the sherry cooks out. Those are some delicious caramelized onions as is. Let's turn it into mac and cheese. At this point, you could take these onions out and start building your sauce. I'm just gonna start building my sauce right here, right now. Go in with some butter, let that melt, and then we're gonna make a little roux in here and a little cream sauce. Got some water boiling, and we're gonna get our macaroni cooking. You wanna cook it a couple minutes less than what the box says, so it just takes about 6 minutes here. All right, you know the drill. Make a little roux, so now goes in a little flour. Let that cook for about a minute to get some of that floury taste out, and then in with some milk. It's gonna be the most flavorful mac and cheese you ever had. You can see how creamy and delicious this looks. It's all thickened up. Taste it for seasoning. It needs it because we haven't added any so far. Salt and pepper. Just remember, this one might be a little time consuming, but it's still cheap and it's still easy. Oof, look at that. Okay, I'm gonna stir in some cheeses to make this a cheese sauce. Gonna go in with some Swiss and some white cheddar. Saving some for the top because the top of this mac and cheese is gonna look like the top of French onion soup. I forgot how good this is. In goes the mac. Remember, this is a casserole episode. So now, let's make this a casserole. This is gonna be so good. Into a buttered dish. You will not miss the meat in this meal. All right, so remember, we're gonna make the top look like the top of the soup. It always has some baguettes on there. Grab a baguette that you've sliced up and then just kind of tear the slices and shingle them on. This is a great thing if you have any leftover baguette also that maybe you've had in your freezer. Carb on carb. Here for it. All right, and then top it with the rest of our cheese. Again, to really keep this affordable, get your cheeses when they're buy one, get one, or definitely use the store brand if you want to save money. Honey. I kind of like take the cheese and kind of work it between the bread slices so that the bread kind of peeks out like on the soup. And then this goes into the oven, 375 degrees for just about 20 minutes. Another case where everything is still pretty warm inside. So we're just waiting on the top to get browned and bubbly. You really should get a glass of wine for this one. Quite possibly the best mac and cheese you've ever had. This is how you make mac and cheese a full meal. So you're gonna get that toasty bread topping, that extra gooey cheese, but all the flavor is underneath. Something so simple. I mean, truly pantry staples. Onions, butter, flour, cheese, and pasta. Sign me up. A little more thyme. French onion mac and cheese. I mean, you could put a salad with it to really round it out, but. Two of life's favorite indulgences in one pan. This casserole is a 10 out of 10 winner, I'm telling you. For my final trick, a one pan wonder, because you know it's my favorite way to cook. This is lemon chicken and rice casserole. It's gonna be bright, it's gonna be satisfying, it's gonna be comforting, and it's gonna be easy and cheap because it starts with bone-in, skin-on chicken thighs. I always have these in my freezer, and they are always inexpensive. It's one of the few things that's actually still cheap. Recipe calls for 4. I have 5 people in my family, so I'm doing 5. I'm gonna go skin side down first. So coat them with some salt and pepper on the skin side. Be generous, we're building those flavors in the pan. And then some olive oil into the pan. Chicken thighs in, and then leave them alone. Once they're down, season the other side, and let that fat render out, and it's gonna get good and crispy. This process is gonna take about 5 minutes or so before we flip it. And then let it cook for another couple minutes and then set it aside. Chicken is par cooked. At this point, to those beautiful drippings in there, we're gonna create even more flavor. In goes some garlic. Just let that get fragrant. And then I'm going in with the rice. I'm gonna toast this up a little bit. That way it doesn't get too mushy and stuck together. I'm gonna coat it in that flavorful fat. Kind of toast these grains up a little bit. More flavor, I'm gonna add in the zest of a lemon and the juice. You're gonna get so much flavor from the zest alone. Juice is just double. That's gonna lift some of that flavor off too. And a can of cream of chicken. It had to come in a casserole episode at some point. In with some chicken broth, and now kind of whisk this up, scrape up any loose bits off the bottom, and a little crushed red pepper. Recipe calls for tarragon. I'm just leaving that out today. My family doesn't love it. So now we put our chicken back in, along with any juices that might have accumulated, kind of leaving that crispy skin exposed on purpose. I'm gonna make it a little fancy with some lemon slices too. And then this just goes into the oven, 375 for about 30 minutes. I think your family will inhale this one. Ow. It was bound to get me. It smells divine. That looks good. Just gonna brighten it up with some parsley. And there you have a really cheap and easy one pan dinner. I mean, this whole thing, less than 10 bucks too. Creamy lemon chicken and rice casserole, cheap and easy. All those drippings that we rendered from that chicken has flavored this rice. It's rich and comforting, but also bright thanks to that lemon. Rice is cooked perfect, chicken is cooked perfect. This is the perfect dinner that your whole family will love, easy enough to throw together on a weeknight, but special enough to serve to company. There you have it. I have taken the guesswork out of what to make for dinner this week, and I've saved you money along the way. Don't forget about those little tips about buying store brand, Costco chickens, and keeping your freezer and pantry stocked. That's gonna really help you save money down the road. I hope you give these recipes a try, and if you do, let me know which one's your favorite. Everybody feel a little richer?